Welcome to Aprendiendo Juntos, Learning Together to Give Care. My name is Carol White. I'm a nurse and a professor at the School of Nursing, UT Health San Antonio. The goal of this program is to equip you with the knowledge and the skills to capably and confidently provide care that is safe and hygienic for you and your family member and supports their dignity and comfort. This program was developed by a multidisciplinary team of healthcare professionals seen here who have expertise in different aspects of dementia care and family caregiving. Importantly, a team of Latino family caregivers with real-life experiences also guided the development of the program. The next few slides show the principles that underlie this program and that are important to the caregiving role. Caregiving is a new role for most people and not a role that many of us have had any preparation to take on. No one begins this role knowing everything. Rather, it is a role that involves ongoing learning. Other caregivers will have been in your shoes as they have learned how to provide care to a family member living with dementia. I am a family caregiver to my mother, and much of what I have learned has come from other caregivers. That's why learning together can be so beneficial, as we can learn from each other. Sharing helps us all to learn. Asking for help is okay. It may take time and practice to feel comfortable completing certain tasks. It's important that early on in your caregiving journey, you build a care team of people that can support you in your caregiving role. Your team may include family and friends, members of the healthcare team, as well as people from community agencies. Other caregivers, such as those you will meet in this program, as well as other caregivers you have met through support groups, can also be an important source of support. Caregivers have said to me, "No one understands me like another caregiver." They have been on the same journey as you and have a real understanding of what you are going through. It's important that you have regular communication with your care team so that they know what you need to support you in providing care for your family member. Support may include answering your questions, providing information about resources, showing you how to provide care, or providing some forms of care. Perfection is not the goal. Even as you develop new skills, perfect is not a goal that we recommend you try to achieve. There's no such thing as the perfect caregiver, and trying to achieve this can be both frustrating and exhausting. Improvement is a reasonable goal. Caregiving also means taking care of yourself. In order to provide good care to your family member, you need to take care of yourself. This can sometimes be difficult for caregivers, but it is important to remember that your first responsibility or duty is your own self-care. In the next few slides, listen to the voices of caregivers from our Latino Family Caregiver Council who helped to develop this program. These are real caregivers just like you, and they describe the values that have been important to them in providing care.
Sense of humor. In my 6 years of caregiving for my wife, Barbara, I've learned many things. It's important to remember to keep in mind how you would like to be treated. So be patient, be kind, and have compassion. And don't forget that humor is food for the soul. I just wanted to share a little bit with you about my wife's past. She took care of children in our home as a registered daycare provider, and she took care of so many kids at home. Um, after I'd leave for work, before I'd come home, she did it throughout the day. And she took care of the kids. She fed them, she changed them, she took care of them and made sure they were in great shape. And I'm thinking that her love for stuffed animals is and dolls is her going back in time and remembering those days, because she was a wonderful provider, daycare provider. Anyway, I wanted to share that story with you because this is a little humorous thing that she does, and I think it's just so sweet. She carries around these stuffed animals and dolls with her wherever she goes. I mean, whether she's walking around or whether she's going to bed or just takes them to dinner, and she hugs them and she kisses them and she just takes care of them. That's just so sweet. But many times, and this is the funny part, she holds these animals or dolls upside down, and there she is holding on and hugging and kissing them on the south end, if you know what I mean. It is just, it's a funny sight. It's a beautiful sight, but it's a funny sight. So I just say maintain your sense of humor because it can be very therapeutic.
Well, I think safety is very important because if if they fall or something like that it can make things worse. And people with dementia, what I've noticed, like in particular with my aunt, is that she's a little impulsive, and so she doesn't look for things that I would consider, a safety issue. For instance, when she's going to get up from the wheelchair, she doesn't lock it. She doesn't remove the footrest. She just tries to, get up and transfer onto the commode, but forget that there are certain steps that you have to take in order to make it safely to the restroom. And then sometimes what I've also seen is like she will pull on the caregiver, and also, or she pulls on a bar. And again, if if I'm not ready for her to pull me, she can, or someone else, she can, not only hurt herself, but also hurt the caregiver, because caregiver might not be, properly positioned to wait for that lift, and the weight of the person. That's one thing. So that's why I think it's so important. And it also because sometimes we do things and we don't think about them. We do them, spontaneously and automatically, and not think about the steps. Whereas someone with dementia, they don't think about it either, but they cannot do it. And they have that, and that's when they get into trouble.
My husband had Alzheimer's, and hygiene is a very important value that undergirds caregiving, whether to provide comfort or to prevent infection. Cleanliness and bathing are essential components. Toileting, showering, and brushing of teeth present difficulties for the caregiver when our family member suddenly and consistently refuses to clean up. In the recent past, these activities of daily living were performed routinely and without resistance. The caregiver assists with water temperature, accessibility to supplies, and over time takes on more of the personal care. The care recipient may display fears around bathing, including wondering the water temperature, believing drowning, slipping in the bathroom. The challenge for the caregiver is to support the loved one's hygiene while recognizing there are many intricate sequential steps involved in personal hygiene. And maybe sponging instead of fighting for a full bath is a preferable choice. Hygiene is essential to the person's dignity and comfort, but also can be one of the most challenging struggles around caregiving.
Ruth, who cares for her husband living with dementia, says, providing comfort for my husband is a lot of trial and error. Sometimes it seems like continuous problem solving. I have learned to watch, listen, and ask him questions instead of guessing. I have learned a lot of ideas from other caregivers as well as from the presenters of classes I have participated in. If I don't provide my husband with some comfort, it makes life more difficult for the two of us. Learning to give him the support and comfort is extremely important because it allows him to remain independent. My husband's independence gives him the sense of being useful, not useless. He continues to be able to do many things independently, but I assist him with those he has difficulty with, and this gives him an enormous sense of comfort and value. My advice to other caregivers is don't be afraid to try anything and everything. Participate in the many classes and support groups. They do help.
I think that I was just talking to my mother yesterday, and she needed assistance in walking to the restroom. And when I asked her, let me help you, or when I told her, let me help you, right away, the first thing she said and looked at me and said, yo entro sola, I'm going to go in by myself. And I said, are you sure? Because you're losing your balance. And she said, sí, por favor, please give me my privacy. And I said, okay, I'll be standing out here. Yes, I am afraid that she might fall in the restroom, but yes, I want to give her the respect that she's asking for. Mm-hmm. Because she is a very private person, and I understand that. She grew up with those values as, when you're doing your private thing, that's what she calls it. She wants that respect for us too. And I think that's part of me giving her that opportunity, that dignity to let her be able to do that.
I am sure what you have heard from members of our council resonate with you. Here again, you see the values that underlie care provision: dignity, independence, comfort, hygiene, and safety, with compassion and patience serving as a foundation for these values. We invite you to reflect on these values and what they mean to you in your role as a caregiver. Are there other values that are important to you in giving care?